Alright, now we're going to talk about digital audio. We just talked about analog audio that takes the waves and actually makes the same shape of the waves in electromagnetic tape. And then the electromagnetic tape, well, that same shape is kind of sent to something that can hear it and it comes out the speaker, da 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 da. Okay, but what does digital mean? Digital means that it's the computer language. And what does a computer language sound like? The computer only has two words that it knows, 1 and 0, and that's it. 1 is when a little light bulb in there is on, and 0 is when a little light bulb in there is off. Of course, they're not light bulbs, they're little tiny, teensy tiny switches. But at the end of the day, a computer is just a bunch of those tiny teensy tiny switches. Some of them are on, some of them are off, and then they make these codes with the math of just ones and zeros. We count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 0, right, for 10 digits. A computer counts to 1, and then it's back to 0, and they got to carry the 1. Okay, we're not going to get too far into that right now, but just remember, digital audio means sound recorded as ones and zeros, and that's it. Okay, so now this is the hardest stuff to explain, or at least it was the hardest stuff for me to learn. I was always super intimidated when I heard people talk about sample rate, that's scary sounding, and bit depth. What the heck does that mean? Okay, well, I'm going to explain to you what sample rate is and what bit depth is. Sample rate is kind of like going this way on our graph, and bit depth is going this way on our graph. Sample rate's the easiest thing. A sample is just whenever the computer says, ooh, what's going on? Ooh, what's going on? Ooh, what's going on? Well, let's see. 1001, 1002, that's one every second, right? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? If the computer listens once every second and then kind of jots down, makes a note inside of itself, ooh, the sound's here. Ooh, the sound's here. Ooh, the sound's here, right? If it does that once every second, we say the sampling rate is 1 hertz. Once every second, right? Okay, well, what if it listened 10 times? Every time 1001, 1002, 1003, 1000, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, every 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if the computer is listening 10 times every second, it's asking what's going on in the air, what's going on in the air, what's going on in the air. Now we're saying that the sample rate is 10 hertz. Okay? So, let's do that. Let's make ourselves a graph. So, we've got, let's say, this is time, and this is our plus and minus with a wave that's like that. Okay, I'm going to make a really simple wave just to talk about this at first. Let's say that right here is 1 second. So this is the halfway point. We'll say 0.5 seconds. And then we'll go 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, and then 1 second. So this is 0 seconds, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9. Now this is the sample. Sample just means computer sound, okay? If I go, la, you hear that. Well, the computer hears me go, la, and says, oh, that's 100100111 or whatever its language is for the ones and zeros. Now it can remember that sound that I just made and play it back as ones and zeros, but of course it has to be turned back into air, of course. But that little memory of what I sang with its code of ones and zeros, that's called a sample. So how many times it listens to see what's going on in the air is called the sample rate. And here we're going to say the sample rate is 10 hertz, just to make life easier. Of course, in real life, it's going a lot faster than that. But we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, so it's wondering, what's going on here? 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 And that happens, you know, in 1 second. It does it 10 times, right? So the computer can hear what's going on, but it has to have some way to write it down, okay? And that's what we're talking about when we talk about bit depth. Now that's kind of a little scary concept if you're like me for like 10 or 20 years, maybe even 30 years, when I heard somebody talk about bit depth, it went right over my head. I was like, whatever, dude, just tell me what to do and I'll play my guitar. And okay. Bit depth is how many spots the computer has that it can write down where it is. So like, it can't just say, ooh, it's at point 1 when I'm listening here, it's there. Just remember, what does there mean, okay? We're going to bring back our friend, DAW, the caveman, because he's going to help us figure out where these different points are. Okay, so, DAW, let's draw him over here. DAW. And he has this club, but it's not a club now. He just went and dipped his club in the tar pit, so now he can light it on fire. It's not a club anymore. It's a torch. And if he lights it on fire, he just discovered fire. So, torch on. But sometimes, DAW wants to send a message that torch off. Okay? So he can talk to his friends. Like, let's say he wants to say when the saber-toothed tiger is coming. Oh, light on, mean yes. Oh, saber-toothed tiger, go away. Oh, put it out. Off, mean no. Okay? But in the computer, we're not going to have on be yes and off be no. We're going to have on equal the number 1 and off equals the number 0. Okay, so, and Grog says, me not call torch, me like shorter word. Me call bit. I have 1 bit. Because he has 1 torch, right? It can only be 1 or 0. On or off. Okay, so that means he's got 1 torch. If sound on, me like torch. So you sound on. If sound off, means 0, okay? Let's not worry about this direction. It works the same way. We're just gonna think about this area, right? When we're trying to figure out what's going on right here, at that moment, it's right there. And when the computer listens what's going on in the air at 0.2 seconds, it's right there. When the computer listens to what's going on at 0.3 seconds, it's right there. 0.4 seconds, it's right there. 0.5 seconds, it's right there, okay? Well, you only have one torch. I can only say off or on. Okay, so, well, yeah, you can't just say, oh, in between somewhere, you know, that doesn't work. It's all you can say is either 0 or 1, on or off. So we're going to have to think like, well, what's the halfway point? Okay, if it's on this side of the halfway point, we just got to say it's 0 because it's closer to 0. If it's farther up than that halfway point, then we got to say it's at 1 because it's closer to 1. That's all we can say is torch on, torch off, 1, 0. Okay, so, well, let's do this let's do this in red first. So we'll say red equals 1 bit, which is 1 torch. Okay, so, well, obviously we start at 0. We get to here, well, it's not quite at the halfway point, so we got to call it a 0. Here, it's past the halfway point, but we have to say it's either 1 or 0, so it's closer to the 1. So when we get to this and the computer says, ooh, what's happening there? Oh, it's on. Okay, well, then it's on. And let's see, that's still closer to 1, stays up there. What happens at 0.4? Well, it's still past that halfway point, so it's still on. And then finally when we get to 0.5, it's on this, it's closer to 0, so we're going to call it a 0. Okay, so in the real air, this is what happened. But with only 1 torch, with only 1 bit, he can just, all DAW can say is like, off, on, off. Okay, and you see if the computer played that back with the air, nothing happening, then all of a sudden like sound, and then nothing. Okay, well, you can kind of see the shape in there, but it's not even close to what's really happening. So DAW, he thinks, oh, if I have 1 torch, 1 bit, we only have 2 possibilities. Off, on, 1, 2. But if me have 2 torches, 2 bits, wait a second. Let's see. Let's think about this. DAW is helping invent math, and he doesn't realize he can count on all 10 fingers yet. He just counts 1, 2, 1, 2. Or no, and see, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. He invent 2 numbers. Okay, so let's say we have 2 bits, 2 torches. Now, with 1 torch, it can only be off or it can be on, 0 or 1. But look, only 2 possibilities. But look at, with 2 torches, we could have both of them off, or just that one on, or just that one on, or both of them on. So with 1 bit, we have 2 possibilities. but with 2 bits, 2 torches, either one can be on or off, a 1 or a 0. We've got 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. We've got 4 different possibilities. And that means that now we don't just have 0, 0 and 1, 1 available to remember. We've got, like, let's see, let's make a, if we can do this evenly. 1. Okay, so now we've got a spot for 1, 0 and 0, 1, because this is how you count when you just have 1s and 0s. 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. So now we've got 4 different places that DAW, I keep wanting to call him Grog. That's my usual caveman name, but we call DAW is his name because, well, digital audio workstation. Anyways, DAW, now he's listening, and what's happening at 0.1 second, 0.2 second, 0.3 second, 0.4 second. And now he's got 4 places that he can say, ooh, it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here. Okay, so, well, and we'll do this in blue now. So it's 0, it's still the same place, it's 0. But now, when we get to 0.1, that dot, it's closer to the 0, 1 point, so we can actually say, ooh, let's remember it's kind of there. And then it's there until at 0.2, ooh, what's going on? Ooh, it's almost right on that spot. Okay, what happens at 0.3? Oh, definitely closest to 1, 1. And then when we get to 0.4, up, definitely closer to 1, 0 now. And then when we get to 0.5, well, let's see, is that closer? It seems like it might be a little closer to 0, 1 than 0, 0. Okay, so now with 2 torches, we can remember this pattern, which is still... Wait a second, I made a mistake. It never got up there. You're probably thinking, what the heck is he doing? Okay, because when we got here, I don't know why I thought it was closer to that. It's not. It's still closer to 1, 0, and then stayed there until we got to here when it dropped down to being closer to 1, 1. Okay, so you can see that the blue pattern now that we can remember because we've got 4 different places to remember it with, the 0, 0, the 0, 1, the 1, 0, the 1, 1. We can make that blue shape a lot closer to real life than that red shape that only had 0 or 1. Okay. DAW is thinking, it's close, but could be better. So he calls his friend over, and because he only has 2 hands, but he calls his friend Grog. Yeah, Grog comes over. He's like, Grog, come over. Me inventing a recording. Okay, here. Dips Grog's torch in the tar pits and says, okay, when I say you light, then you light. When I say on, you light. When I say 1, you light. Okay, doesn't matter if I say 1 or on, just, all right. Okay, so now now we have 3 torches, and remember he doesn't like that word torch, it has too many letters. He likes 3-letter words, so bit. Now we have 3 bits. I have 2 torches, bits, and Grog has his 1. So we're going to make green be 3 bits. Well, if 1 bit has 2 possibilities, 2 bits has 4 possibilities. How many possibilities do you think 3 bits has? If you realize that we just double it every time, then you're right. We actually have 8 possibilities. Okay, so that'd be like 1 0 0 0 0 0 0 1 0 1 0 0 1 1. Then both of those turn to 0 and carry it over to 1 over in this new bit place, and then we go 1 0 1 1 1 0, and then finally 1 1 1. Off 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 on on off on off off on off on off on. 8 different spots that we can remember by having 3 different torches, either up or down or on or off. Okay, so let's go over here now. Now we've got 0 0 0 at the bottom still, and 1 1 1 at the top still, but we've got let's see, 4 different places we could put this in. Let's see if I can figure this out. Make it all nice and neat. So that is 0 0 0, that's 0 0 1, that's 0 1 0, that's 0 1 1, that's 1 0 0, that's 1 0 1, that's 1 1 0, and 1 1 1. So now these are the 8 different spots that DAW can remember where the sound is at any given time. Okay, so once again, we start right here because it's at 0. It doesn't have to be there. If sound was already happening when you started recording, it wouldn't be at 0, but we're just making the wave really super simple here. Okay, so, what happened here? Oh, I think closer to 0 1 1. Okay, what happened here? Oh, that's closer to 1 0 1. And let's see, that one's still there. Okay, but this one, oh, let's say it closer to 1 0 0. Okay. And what's happening here? That closer to 0 1 1. Okay. So now, the green is getting a little closer. Okay, so I'm going to stop drawing him out right there. But what if we, well, Ron's got 2 hands, me hold another torch. Now we have 4 bits. Okay, so 4 bits. Well, that goes from 0 0 0 0 if both of them are holding torches off, all the way to 1 1 1 1 if both of them are holding both torches up, right? And how many different possibilities are in there? Well, 8 times 2 is 16 possibilities. And if you're into math, well, and you know how exponents work, well, 1 bit is 2 to the first power, 2 bits is 2 to the second power, which is 4. Let's color code this the same way. 2 to the second power, and 3 bits is 2 to the third power equals 8, and then 4 bits is 2 to the 4th power equals 16. And so that's just a little math for you. 2 to the 1st equals 2. 2 to the 2nd equals 4. 2 to the 3rd equals 8. And 2 to the 4th equals 16. So that means if we had 4 different torches, 4 different bits, we would have 16 spots on here. 16 different little lines going across that DAW and Grog can remember it's here, it's here, it's here. So the rectangles are going to get closer. Each time you listen here, you're going to have the ability to remember it as a little bit closer to the actual wave. Okay, well, in real life, how many bits, how many torches do we have? The DAW got really into this. And so they get all their friends together and they get 8 of them all together. So they each have 2 arms, 8 times 2, 16. 16 torches, 16 bits. So if we have 2 to the 16th power, that means we have 16 different torches, 16 different bits that can be on or off. Well, let's figure out what that is. So 2 times 2 is 4, that's 2 bits, times 2, 8, yeah, that's 3 bits. 4 bits is 16, times 2, 5 bits is 32, times 2, 6 bits is 64, times 2, 7 bits is 128, times 2, 8 bits is 256, times 2, 9 bits is 512, times 2, 10 bits is 1024, times 2, 11 bits, 2048, times 2, 12 bits is 4096, times 2, 13 bits is 8192, times 2, 14 bits is 16,384, times 2 is 32,768, times 2, 16 bits, 2 to the 16th power is 65,536. So with 16 different torches on or off, that gives you 63,000 possible lines that Grog can say, oh, it's here, oh, it's here, oh, it's here, oh, it's here. And it's going to be really, really close whenever you listen. Okay? What was that? 65,536 possibilities. That's what we mean by 16-bit. Okay? Now the problem is, it's not very realistic if we're only listening 10 times every second. That's still going to be, wherever we listen, it's going to be really close to what's happening in the air, but there's still all of this stuff that's not getting recorded. So we have to listen more often, and that's the sampling rate. So the sampling rate for when they invented CDs, they decided, and I don't know why they decided this, probably that's a good thing to think about, but sampling rate for CDs is 44,100 times per second. 44,100 hertz. Or we say 44.1 kilohertz. Okay? So now, imagine how close our graph that we remember with our torches is going to remember our bits. Imagine how close that's going to be to the real stuff going on in the air if we're listening 44,100 times every single second. And every time we listen all those times, we have 65,536 lines going this way that we can say, ooh, it's here, ooh, it's here, ooh, it's here. We're going to hear something that's almost exactly what's actually going on in the air. Now, if you zoomed way in, if you like zoom, 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 you're still going to see tiny little rectangles and squares. But that's like zooming way in. As far as our ear is concerned, it's pretty much the same thing. And that's how digital audio works. That's how it takes what's going on in the air. It's got to have a diaphragm, you know, like and listen, and you know, to figure out what's going on in the air. But then it has a little, they call it a converter, to take that real world, physical, analog stuff and turn it into ones and zeros, the way that I just described to you here. Hope that all makes sense. I wish I had somebody to explain this to me 20 or 30 years ago. All right, ciao.